With Lake and Tomlinson gone, what's the new plan for the offensive line? What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Talking Jets with Tigo. My name is Tigo, and today I want to talk about the offensive line, but more importantly, the plan for the offensive line and how it may have been changed, what's been affected, and to just go over all of the information that I have been able to gather, give that to you guys, and just start building out in our minds what the offensive line plan is going to be for the New York Jets when it comes to the draft, when it comes to free agency, and just putting all of that together. I did want to give a visual representation to try to help fill everything out. There are 10 offensive line spots that need to be filled, and today we're going to be filling 9 of them and going over all of the information that I have heard and what I have been able to formulate from all of that. So let's start with the biggest piece of news, which is from what I have been able to gather, the information that I've been able to pick up, everything that I have been told from people inside the building, from people that are connected inside the building, is that Alijah Vera-Tucker has been informed and that he has been told that he will be playing right tackle for the New York Jets moving forward. That's the plan, is that they're going to pay him at right tackle. They think that that's probably going to be the best spot for him, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One, yes, he's played exceptionally well on the offensive line wherever he's played, but the New York Jets believe that, one, they're probably going to take Alijah Vera-Tucker's fifth-year option. And for offensive linemen, the fifth-year option does not really matter where you play. If you're a center, if you're a guard, if you're a tackle, it's all the same thing, and the values are based off of tackle performance. So the expectation is, well, if Alijah Vera-Tucker can fill a hole at right tackle and help alleviate the pressure of having to go find 2 tackles in a free agency class and a draft class that, look, the draft class has a ton of tackles, but they have a ton of right tackles, and you're not going to trust a rookie to protect Aaron Rodgers' blind side, and they don't feel comfortable putting Alijah Vera-Tucker on the left side. So the move is Alijah Vera-Tucker is expected to be the starting right tackle for the New York Jets when it comes to week 1, and that's the plan that they're going with. Makes a ton of sense. Next thing that I've been told from people inside the building is that the expectation is that Joe Tippmann is going to be playing right guard for the New York Jets. They don't want him at center because he continues to struggle with making snaps in shotgun formation. We've seen him sail a couple of those last year, but also they really liked the combo of Tippmann and AVT when they got to see those guys together, and they believe that that can be a right side for a long time. So that's the move that they're trying to make and that they want to make. The other thing that I also heard is that Connor McGovern is expected to come back on a league minimum deal for the New York Jets to be the plan B at center in case something in free agency doesn't work out. So with all of that being said, those are really the only pieces of news. Let's fill out the rest of the offensive line with the players that we have right now, and that is Carter Warren is expected to be the primary backup at left tackle. Wes Schweitzer is expected to be the primary backup on the interior of the offensive line. And Max Mitchell is expected to be the primary backup at right tackle. Now, I have an asterisk on the right guard spot right now because, one, there is no guarantee that the New York Jets are going to get a 10th offensive lineman. I do think that that is a smart thing to do, but I do think that with the plan that I've built, that guy should be a rookie. And so I'm going to just assume that we're going to draft an interior offensive lineman somewhere in day 2 or day 3 to be the primary right guard backup, knowing full well that Wes Schweitzer and Connor McGovern can play all 3 positions on the interior of the offensive line, so that if we do suffer an injury, we can move some people around. And the benefit of having a guy like Carter Warren who has a ton of upside is if we need to move Alijah Vera-Tucker inside, you can move Carter Warren to right tackle. You can do some maneuverability with the offensive line, and that's something that the New York Jets Love. So let's start talking about these free agents and what I think a New York Jets offensive line plan could look like. And let's dive right in. The first player is we're going to go center, left guard, left tackle, and that's going to be Connor Williams, the center currently of the Miami Dolphins and formerly of the Dallas Cowboys. Now, why are we targeting Connor Williams? One, I think he's one of the better centers that's going to be available in this upcoming free agency class, and the New York Jets are going to be able to benefit by having a lower salary cap hit because, one, he's a center, but two, he did get hurt last year. Now, why would I be willing to risk going for a player like Connor Williams who got hurt last year? Well, it's because in his 6 years in the NFL, he hasn't really missed a ton of time or missed a ton of games, and when he plays exceptionally well. So if you're telling me that I can get a player who will be 27 when the year starts, give him a 3-year deal at $22.5 million with $12 million guaranteed, which would make him $7.5 million per year, sign me up. I feel like that is more than worthy and good enough for a deal, especially if you can upgrade the center position while sticking it to a division rival. Now, I got those numbers by combining and looking at PFF, Over the Cap, and Spotrac, and looking at all of the anticipated contracts of all of these guys. So that's where these numbers are coming from. The really good thing about the Connor Williams contract is that it gives you an out of the contract after 1 year. If it doesn't work out, you can move on from Connor Williams and only take 1 year of a dead cap hit of around $4 to $5 million, which is more than manageable. But if you do play him for 2 years, you can cut bait after 2 years totally scot-free without any worry at all. And that works out for him because then he would hit the free agent market at 29 and get another payday, especially if he's playing well. So everybody wins in that scenario. Now we're going to go on to left guard because we have to fill the hole that Laken Tomlinson left, and let's be honest, he was the hole, but that's besides the point. I'm not here to roast Laken Tomlinson, but there has to be a plan at left guard, and this is a name that New York Jets fans should be familiar with because a lot of people were screaming from the mountaintops, banging on the walls, wanting for the New York Jets to trade for this player last trade deadline, and it didn't happen, and that is offensive guard Ezra Cleveland of the Jacksonville Jaguars, formerly of the Minnesota Vikings. Well, Ezra Cleveland is expected to go and hit free agency, and that's a big deal for the New York Jets. One we do have to talk about is the interior offensive line class in free agency is absolutely loaded. There are a ton of guys, and you could have gone after guys like Kevin Zeitler and Dotson and Hunt and all of those things, but why did I land on a guy like Ezra Cleveland over a guy like Zeitler or some of these other guys? Well, one, I think if you go after some of the bigger name guys, they're going to be wanting Laken Tomlinson money. And while I would love to give them that, the New York Jets are just not in a position to pay another guard $17 to $18 million a year. That's just not a reality. But Ezra Cleveland is not projected to make that much money. The estimated contract that he was being offered was a 3-year, $28.5 million contract, $17 million guaranteed, which would put him at a $9.5 million per year contract, which would be great for the New York Jets because, one, he would literally just fill in the money that we just saved from Laken Tomlinson, which is great because you cut a guard, you replaced him with a guard, and right at about the same amount of money. So that's, you're not incurring a ton of extra money because you cut Laken Tomlinson. Two, he's a clear upgrade to Laken Tomlinson in almost every aspect from what we expected and what we actually got from Laken Tomlinson. And then three is he's only 26 years old. So you're getting a young player on a deal that works for you guys. And just like the Connor Williams deal and the way that it is set up, you would have an out after 2 years and be able to get out from under his contract scot-free without a dead cap hit if you manipulate the numbers successfully, which we know that a general manager with a staff is going to be able to manipulate the numbers effectively. And so, again, now you're addressing the interior of the offensive line with quality players, with cost control deals, and it makes a ton of sense. But now we have to talk about the blind side because Aaron Rodgers' left side needs to be protected. And while a lot of people would like to put a rookie here, I don't see the New York Jets, one, banking on the fact that a left tackle is going to make it to 10, because I just don't see a world in which that happens in the draft. But two, I don't see a world in which Joe Douglas, in a year where his career is on the line, his job is on the line, is going to leave the blind side to a rookie. He's going to want to get a veteran. He's going to want to get a high-level player. And you know what? There's a really, really easy way that the New York Jets can do that, and that's by trading for offensive tackle Garrett Bowles. We talked about this in a previous video, that the Denver Broncos are expected to cut Garrett Bowles to save money on the cap so that they can move on from Russell Wilson, but they're actively trying to facilitate a trade. Well, if you're the New York Jets, I would make that trade. I would give them a day 3 pick to take Garrett Bowles off of their hands, and the moment he gets here, I would give him an extension, because I doubt that the 31-year-old would play on the last year of his deal, and I'd be more than willing to pay him, especially since I'm not giving up a large draft pick. It's going to be a day 3 pick and a guy that would be a flyer or a developmental guy. Anyway, the last contract that Garrett Bowles got from the Denver Broncos was a 4-year contract, $68 million total, which came out to about $17 million per year. Well, Garrett Bowles is an incredibly good offensive lineman, and he has been for the last, 7 years. And so you're going to expect that he's going to want to get paid, and that's exactly what the New York Jets would do by offering him a 4-year deal at $80 million, $45 million guaranteed. Why are those numbers important? One, because that would put the New York Jets in a position to escalate the salary cap hit so that it grows as the years go on. But more importantly, it gives us an easy out after year 3, which we would only take a $5 million dead cap hit if you work the numbers in the right way. But more importantly, no matter what you do with the salary cap situation, you have a clear-cut, scot-free out after year 3s without a dead cap hit, assuming you're not pushing money into later years, which you can do. And for a guy like Garrett Bowles, I would do, because I would keep him all 4 years and then let him walk away in free agency. This is probably his last payday anyway. And at 31, you're still getting a relatively young for the offensive lineman player who's been solid and who doesn't miss time. And this would put him as the 4th highest paid tackle. So he would probably take this money and it would all work out and everything like that. And now you've got an offensive line that is revamped, full of youth, full of experience, and assuming that we have health, knock on wood, this would be an offensive line that would be more than good enough to protect Aaron Rodgers and to be the brick wall in front of him that we need during this season. And the great part is I've done the numbers and I've run the salary cap situations. We can sign all of these players and still have more than enough money to go out and bring in a wide receiver. This plan would take off the super high-end wide receivers off of the board, your Mike Evans and T. Higgins and Tyler Boyds and those kinds of things. But I don't think that we were in the market for those guys anyway. But it does free up the 10 pick, which I think is the ultimate goal for the New York Jets at 10. Free up the 10 pick so that we can trade back and recoup a second-round pick. Free up the 10 pick so that if a player like Malik Neighbors or Rome Odunze or Brock Bowers is there, you can capitalize and get a weapon that has such an incredible upside. It gives the New York Jets a ton of flexibility because the biggest concern is taken care of, and you can fill the rest of the roster with role players, because the reality is the only position that we legitimately need starters, and I mean big name starters at, is the offensive line and the interior of the defensive line. Those are the only positions where we desperately need players. Everything else would be really, really nice and welcome upgrades. I would love a wide receiver 2. I would love a running back 3. I would love, a couple of new safeties and things like that. But the reality is we're probably bringing back Chuck Clark and Ashton Davis on cheap deals, probably bringing back Solomon Thomas and Quentin Jefferson on cheap deals. And with all of that being said, you fill out the roster and you address the most important part, and you can still go out and sign like a guy like Curtis Samuel at the wide receiver room. So again, let me know, what do you guys think of this offensive line? It's just one of the endless, countless possibilities that the New York Jets can do when it comes to the offensive line, and I just think that this is a really, really good, cost-effective plan. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you think that this is the plan? What would you change? And all that stuff. And last but not least, go Jets.